Alright guys, welcome back to another Warframe video. In the last video, I was continuing my path along the Railjack missions. We were focused on Neptune. It's been quite a while since I've hopped over there, and I have not wrapped that up. So yeah, even though I'm slowly working my way through Steel Path, I do also want to wrap up Railjack. I think it's really, really fun. And it was a little break from just doing the same thing over and over. But today, yet again, we are back on another new frame first impression. He is extremely obvious visually. It is Sevagoth today. I've already done a visual customization on him. I think he looks pretty neat. So what we're going to do is pop in. I have done nothing else other than customize him. I haven't even read through his abilities. But he's one I have had for a long time. And ever since the Sevagoth Prime dropped, I've seen quite a few people when I'm in random lobbies playing with him. And he looks like he performs pretty well. So we're going to check him out, see what his kit is about. I think it was just in the Call of the Tempestari. That was the only time I played with Sevagoth. But nonetheless, let's just start. Check out his passive. On death, become a shadow, fight to resurrect him by collecting souls needed to rebuild his tombstone. Okay, it doesn't tell you how many that requires. I'm guessing it'll be obvious when and if it happens. He's got Reapso, Gloom, and Exalted Shadow. Sevagoth Shadow flies toward ravaging enemies. Survivors are damaged by death's harvest over time. The souls of the dead will fill the death well. So nothing on here says Death Well, nothing on here says Death's Harvest, so I'm guessing that's something that'll pop up on a meter, kind of like Ember's Immolation meter. Yeah, I can see a little insignia up there, so it's got to be tied to that. That's probably the Death Well. Death's Harvest, I have no idea. That does radiation damage. Interesting, didn't expect that. This is an ability I have seen quite a bit flying around, playing with random Sevagoths. Then we've got So reap and sow. So I guess you sow first, then you reap. Since you reap what you sow, if they try to play it cleverly named like that. So plant a death seed in nearby targets to drain their life force. Reap what has been sown to detonate afflicted enemies, dealing a percentage of their health as radial. Okay, souls of the dead fill. So this Deathwell seems like it's going to be a pretty common theme mechanic on Sevagoth's kit. Okay. Gloom, summon a radial pulse that ensnares and slows enemies, siphoning their life force for the death well. Allies within the wave steal health from each attack. Slow 25%, life steal 1%, range 1 meter per second, range 1 to 5, energy drain. You know, looking at that, that could be an extremely... I wonder which of these abilities, if you subsume, reap, sow. I don't see... Well, I mean, I guess I could see that because Embers, they give you something tied to her immolation meter. So I guess they could give you something tied to the Deathwell. But if it were lucky enough to be Gloom, that could be hugely useful. Slowing enemies down, that might actually be something worth considering for, say, my Mesa Prime build for survivability. Just slow them down so you can mow them down without them constantly, you know, going at you. I guess we'll figure that out when we get there. Step 1, test out Sevagoth. Step 2, get another copy of him to subsume anyway. Then the 4, Exalted Shadow. When Deathwell fills, the form is ready and tear the enemy asunder with a melee-focused abilities. Okay, so that's probably, yeah, that's the version I remember playing in the Call of the Tempestari. I remember playing with Sevagoth in that form. So, okay, so then reap, Gloom to slow people down, and then Exalted Shadow once the well's filled, and then you can go on a melee spree. So that all sounds pretty straightforward. As ever, guys, I am going to do a quick cut here. I'm going to read through the tips to see if there's anything critical in there that's not obvious from just reading about him that I need to know before I jump in. But I'm going to do that. Then we'll jump right back in and start getting his first mods set up. Alright guys, I just finished reading through the tips, and Sevagoth sounds like, especially his 4, has some different abilities off his main, which I kind of sort of remember that from playing the Call of the Tempestari. So I don't want to say it's necessarily complex, but it's an added layer of complexity and stuff to have to memorize. So obviously I'll get better with it after use and over time. So without further ado, let's just jump right in and we'll go to upgrade.
Ready for action.
Aura, what do we have? I guess his doesn't have any polarity. That's actually rather unfortunate. But I guess what I might do is just do this. And just a reminder, since I have never done it the entire time I played, and I know I'm getting to the final end of the pile, yeah, I'm just going to throw potatoes on these out of the gate to get them potatoed. I was confusing formas with potatoes almost the whole time because when I didn't have that many, and I was like, oh, let me try the frame out first. It was kind of picking and choosing where I was going to spend the potatoes, but no problem. I'll pop one in there right now. So strength, it did sound like was going to be important. So let's start with, let's see, can he heal himself with any abilities? Lifesteal, yes, with Gloom. So I think Archon Intensify might make sense on this specifically. Next we'll go to, obviously, anything that's going to lower the drain. 50, 50, 25. Wow, he actually seems like he's got a pretty nice little bit of, where is it? Continuity, right? Continuity, streamline. For efficiency, it drops it to 35, 35, 17.5. So this is just fill the well. So his 4 having no cost to cast is actually pretty huge. So maybe Streamline isn't super necessary, but that'll drop his Gloom and his Sow and Reap down a good bit. I'll figure out how often I'm using those. I'm guessing he's going to function as a caster frame. Seems like it, just reading about it. Next, continuity would be duration. He's not doing Toxin, but that does give me plus 50 versus plus 30. Duration, that's 2.5, so Reap isn't huge. Duration's 5 on that. There isn't a duration on Gloom. Looks like Gloom is just tied to energy drain. So either way, continuity is going to be important. If I threw a 50%, that would take that up to 3.75 seconds. That would take that up to 7.5. I'm not sure that that's necessarily needed. I could go to continuity, the standard continuity, to just get a little bit additional, and that only costs 7. Oh, I've already got continuity. I said continuity. I was looking at something else. Was I not? No. I took the wrong one off. So yeah, let's go to standard continuity. That's 7 cost. We'll throw that on. Then, is there anything decent I would want to throw on there? That is the Vizerin. Narrow-minded. That's duration minus a little bit of range. Radius is only 2 meters on that. 10 meters on that. 1 to 5 on Gloom. So I kind of feel like range is going to be important. So maybe I don't necessarily want to throw that one on, but I do suppose I could try something else. Duration minus range. Duration minus range. I could get some of that range back, but I kind of feel like the duration that you gain from throwing that on is so trivial that adding additional range might be the better call. So I think I'll skip those, but I could do at least some additional strength on here. Use Amar's Hatred. Anything that adds strength is always going to be good. So I'll back off of that. That still leaves me 16. I do have a couple of his. So enemies killed while inflicted with Sow spread its effect in a 9-meter radius. Shadow's Death Harvest also inflicts so. That sounds like that could be very strong. Granted, I haven't used the kit yet. I'm just, based on what it says. Increase crit chance by 35 on enemies inflicted with Death Harvest. A new shadow emerges from those when they perish, limit of 3. So that could also be very, very strong. So we're definitely going to be wanting his augment mods on there. Probably both of those. Make space for both of those. It sounds like they could both be massively useful. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab Stretch as my next mod. That'll cost 9. But that will, 2.9. Obviously, Reap, it doesn't go massively, and I guess it'll just keep flying around anyway. This one, hey, that's a pretty good bump. So was a pretty good bump. I mean, it's still not a huge range, but it's better than nothing. The range on Gloom, Gloom doesn't seem to be super huge either. So his abilities all sound quite strong, but he's limited by like how far he can actually get stuff to go out. Is what it looks like on paper. I'm trying to see. Narrow-minded is negative range. Are there any of these negative positive mods where you get additional range? Efficiency, duration, energy max. He doesn't have a ton of energy. Kind of feel like that would be important. I mean, like, they're all properly important anyway. Strength, efficiency slightly lower. Blind Rage might not be a bad one to consider. But nope, he's not doing that. Yeah, we know what those are. Yeah, I don't think I have anything that gives you plus range right now. I think I only have negative range on any of those corrupted mods. I don't know if there is one that's plus range. There's got to be something other than Stretch that can increase your range a bit. Maybe I'm mistaken about that. Either way, I guess I'll leave that for now. Let me see. Do I have a lower ranked flow? Yeah, I have a 5 flow. And then is it just maxed? Yeah, I guess I'll put the 5 cost flow on here just to add a little additional energy in the back. We'll swap that out as we get him ranked up a bit. So let's see. For how he functions, probably Molt augmented for strength. Yes. We'll throw that on. And then you'll see I do have a max rank Arcane Energize. I got that from my clan leader. I am not going to be using that in testing. I just wanted to have it for things I'm doing in the background for grinding. Because I did get one from doing a Terror list. And I do want to try to get this worked up on my own by doing it. So yes, I do have a 5 Arcane Energize, but I'm just using that for my own off-recording purposes because I bought it versus earned it. Just FYI. Awesome mod, though, by the way. Man, that is game-changingly good for what it's worth. So what might make sense? I mean, he doesn't have a huge pool of energy. I could go with an Arcane Energize, but I'm thinking maybe there's something else on here that would maybe be a little better for him. All right, guys, after poking through there, I do think, at least for the interim, I'm going to use Energize. So, yes, I am going to slot on just my base Energize. Like I said, I don't want this to be a test outside of anything that I have procured on my own. So that's what I'm going to use. Yes, I realize that puts me at a detriment. It's a personal decision. So be that as it may, that's where we're going to try. I mean, I've been rolling Epitaph already, so let's leave the Epitaph on. I do want to quickly double check his abilities again to just look at them. That does Rad. That does, I don't know what kind of damage. I don't recognize that symbol on So. Gloom, and then that is Puncture, passive. I could have sworn I read something about Cold. Oh, other slowing effects like cold damage status effect. So if I could put cold, say, on a companion, that might work well for him. Glaive, I think I'll leave exactly as is. Torrid Epitaph, yeah, I'm reasonably okay with that, but let's just look at what I have set up on the Hound. That's his basic, yep, that's fine. What do I have that up? I have it set for viral. Now, if I were to forma this, yeah, there's no way without taking Vicious Frost off, or rather Fever Strike off, there's no way to just leave it as cold. Viral's super useful, but maybe just for his purposes, it does make more sense to use just cold in lieu of viral. So I think I'm going to take Fever Strike off for now. We'll leave it on Vicious Frost, but then maybe I could throw even more, a little higher spec Northwind. If I take that off, I have a max Northwind. That will throw even more cold. I think that's how I'm going to try it. That's how I'm going to try it. So that's where we are, guys. I'm going to jump right into Sanctuary Onslaught. As always, we'll just get him ranked up, starting the rank ups. So let's go into Onslaught. Alright, so we sent his little thing out. I guess it kind of flies around. It feels a little tricky to kind of dictate exactly where you want it to go, which I guess is totally fine. See what that does here. Just kind of flies out. My Hound took him down before Sevagoth's ability could even do anything. Let's try this group right there. Okay, so that's doing some stuff. Now we've got sow, so we should sow first, then reap. Okay, that seems reasonably interesting. Now, Gloom is the one that will slow down, that amplifies with ability strength and cold abilities. So let's try this. Oh, it's a radius around me, so it moves with me. That's actually awesome. Yeah, that's great. I did not expect that to function that way. And interestingly, right now, I don't see it with any energy drain. I think we have a Mirage in here, hooking the party up with quick levels. We're doing not much. Alright, so I'm just going to skip through this nonsense. We've seen 1, 2, 3. I'll cut to when I get 4 unlocked, which I'm guessing won't take but another cycle. The conduit's coming up any second now. Yep, perfect. Alright, there's his 4. Oh, so he just kind of drops into the pit. Oh, I can jump with him if I elect to go into a jump. Alright, so let's see what his shadow form abilities do. Whoops! Fell again. Okay, that makes him go very fast. I don't know what that does. Let's see what the last one does. Oh, that puts him back in the... Okay, I get it. So I'll have to refill the meter to do it again, I guess, is how it functions. All right, we've got another. So I'll probably cut from here, guys. I'm just going to get the rank ups, and then we'll go back into some real-world testing. Shouldn't take too long to get them ranked, but I've seen all 4 abilities. It'll be easier to do outside of a group that's, you know, knocking everything down real quick. But quick cut, and we'll be back. All right, guys. So I just finished getting Sevagoth ranked up. Got a little more practice with him in his shadow form as well. So I kind of got to see what the shtick is about. He's a pretty interesting kit. So started off a little slow, then as I got some mods on there, definitely started ramping up how effective it felt. So I'll just start with Sevagoth. Here's where I have him set up. I've got Growing Power, Amar's Hatred. That was primarily for an extra strength bump in there. Streamline to make stuff cost less. Stretch for added range. Dark Propagation, I got that maxed. That seems like a really good one on there. We've got Shadow Haze as well. I left that, obviously, I could get this fully maxed out, but frankly, it stays the same. It just goes from 35 crit chance up to 50% when it's maxed. So, I mean, even the base on there, it's going to be pretty nice to have. I went with Archon Flow since there's cold and a chance to drop energy orbs. I know it's not that high, but, you know, I thought about Prime Flow, but Archon Flow, since he is having a decent chance at cold, I figured having another means of dropping energy orbs would be nice. Continuity for duration. Archon Intensify, since he has abilities built in that do lifesteal. So here's where his stuff is sitting. Reap, that's where the numbers are. Pretty big bump over where it was. So, same thing. Again, I don't know what damage type that is that's showing. Maybe that's just saying damage towards filling that meter. I have no idea. But either way, that's where that's sitting. And yeah, the range on these as well massively increased, as well as the duration. Gloom, that's where we have it. Not bad. And then, of course, the last one, that's just the base, you know, damage. So now we'll go over to his shadow form. I set shadow form up with Arcane Fury and a Molta Augmented. We've got a Steel Charge Aura mod on. Transient Fortitude, Umbral Intensify, Primed Flow on this one. Since nothing in his kit does cold in this form, I wanted more energy left in there. Streamline, of course. Boreal's Hatred for some additional efficiency. Stretch, Continuity, and Blind Rage. Just a tier 2. I know I have more than one Blind Rage, and I'm eventually going to go and get those worked up, but again, I'm still in the slow processes of getting all of my formas and re-getting credits in Indo back, because I've been going crazy getting new mods and getting them upgraded. So it's just a cost thing at the moment, but it's good enough to get a test on there. So I'll show you where these are sitting now. For Embrace, that's where it is. For Consume, that's where we're sitting. For Death's Harvest, that's where we're sitting. And then, of course, that pops him back in. And actually, since there's lifesteal on here, is it Archon? Nope. It's Archon Intensify. Yeah, since he can lifesteal, maybe I will swap that out. It'll drop my available points down to 2, but that's okay. For the immediate here and now, I don't need them. So yeah, I'll make a quick swap. That'll lower his overall damage by a couple, but because he's got lifesteal over here on consume, I think I'm going to leave it at that. And then for the claws, here's where we're sitting. Ravenous Wraith is already maxed out. I've got True Steel, Carnus Mandible, Organ Shatter, Melee Prowess, Vicious Frost, North Wind, and Drifting Contact. Actually, since I've got his claws set for cold, it's possible that somebody could potentially be eliminated by cold damage. Maybe I should consider going back to his shadow form and making that adjustment. We've got North Wind for more cold to tack onto the Vicious Frost. Drifting Contact, combo duration is nice to have, but I put that on there primarily for the status chance bump, and then a just tier 3 Galvanized Elementalist for status damage on melee kill, plus that additional 5.5 for 20 seconds that can stack up to 4 times. So obviously I can make this a lot stronger as I form some stuff and get more resources bumped into it. Looks like he's going to be pretty bloody good, which would track with what I've seen when I've played in groups with others. It's just going to take a good bit of investing to get him. I mean, he works just fine now. No complaints at all, but I feel like he could be an absolute monster if you invest in him. So that's where we're sitting. And I do also have, granted it's not ranked up, I did pick up also Galvanized Steel. But I didn't put that on right now because, frankly, he's already got quite a high crit chance based with the other ones I put on. And the crit damage is not bad either with what I put on. Though I may play around with taking one or some of these off and rotating some others. Obviously, once I invest fully in Elementalist and Steel, that's going to go way, way, way up. I think that would offset the True Steel. So this is going to cost more. But either way, we'll get there down the line. That's where I have him in the immediate here and now. But what I am going to do is go back to the Shadow. And in lieu of Prime Flow, I'm going to throw on Archon Flow, since that does, yeah, a little bit less energy overall, but because his Consume does have lifesteal, that will give possibility of orb drops, which I think is a nice side perk. So that's where we're sitting for the time being, guys. Now we're going to pop in and go do a little bit of real-world testing. So let's just come up here and... You know, we could keep with the theme we've been running the last few times. I'm going to go solo. I'm going to go to Zariman. We're just going to go for some Zariman bounty action here. I'll say calm is fine because I'm going to solo. We'll just go to the tier 3. I guess I could go Void Armageddon. Level 70 to 75. Yeah, that's fine. We'll just pick this one. That's fine. We're just testing to see how he feels, really, outside of Sanctuary Onslaught. I could, of course, just gone to the higher tier Sanctuary Onslaught, but, you know, I'm here. Get a little base energy in the background.
The reliquary and the angels will take notice. Build armaments, safeguard the exodampers, and keep the drive stable.
And we've already got that, so may as well turn in the accolade.
Your assignment is overdue. Don't think your academic achievement.
Enemies will hit our exodampers first so they can fight unimpeded. Then they'll target the reliquary drive. Protect your exodampers!
Okay, yep, it's this. This is what I thought it was going to be.
You'll need Argosine. I'm sending you a canister now.
That's fine.
The more Argosine you have, the more armaments you can construct. Construction complete.
Let's just pop one in for the time being. We'll see when the enemies flood in. Where are they? Are they above me? So it's a little tough to say what his abilities are doing versus the Hound, since I've got the Hound out, but it feels like his abilities are doing a pretty good job.
Do not let this wave of scum take out that exo damper.
Now we can move over to B. Oh, I do reckon. Bullet jumping with his shadow form is kind of funny. I should have tried that at the start to see if he could actually do it. Now, can I actually build stuff? Oh, wow. They'll actually let me build stuff like this, too. I didn't expect that. Okay. So his shadow form ran out of energy there, so let's get back down here. It's actually a little inconvenient that I popped it in way at the opposite base, but that's okay. It's not really a big deal if I do or don't get through this. This was really just a test.
Exo damper out of action. Watch that flank. Brace for a fresh wave. More Argosine. Don't waste
So
it.
they try to break that thing, it seems like. I've never actually seen anybody or anything interact with that, which I guess is totally fine.
Relic's taking a pounding, Grubber. You're meant to stop that.
Okay. Looks like they're up top again. I don't know, that does do a bit of damage leaping after you sow. At least it looks like it to me.
Damper, getting stronger. They're ripping that relic wide open.
So we also have to find a Void Angel in here somewhere. Those are not
Void
one.
Angel at your location.
Ah, here it is.
Reliquary compromised. Get your stuff and clear out. Failed.
Oh, whoops. Ah, that's okay. I thought there was a chance I could get through that. I've never soloed one of these before, so I wasn't exactly sure how it was going to go down. That's totally fine. But yeah, I mean, I feel like his kit does work pretty well here. And yeah, definitely if I could get it stronger, I feel like strength is going to be the overall key. So maybe I could consider, say, some Archon shards. So I'm going to jump in outside of Zariman, maybe something a little bit more normal. What I think I'm going to look for is just a higher level. No, Jupiter. Is it Pluto? Is Pluto the highest level area? I just want to find, say, a survival. I just want to see how he would do on survival. Sure, that's 25 to 30. Is Void the highest difficulty area? I don't honestly remember. Yeah. Do we have a survival over here? Mobile defense, mobile Mithra. Mott survival. Okay, let's go to Mott. Plus, there's always a chance you get some Argon, and if I get some, then maybe I could craft something.
Distract the enemy while a fellow Tenno operative raids the ship for much-needed supplies. Make your presence known.
Get a little energy going first. I'll just cast one more right here on the ground for me.
They have just shut down all systems. I'm sending life support capsules your way.
Alright, already off to the races. How is the Hound down already? Ah, that's how that functions, so I can literally just hold it down. Okay. That does feel quite effective. No doubt about it. Can turn off Bloom for the time being.
Life support incoming. I've delivered a life support capsule to the area.
Ah,
Deleting it will buy you
so
more
that
time.
was in his I'm dead mode. And then I did die. So that's one thing I kind of need to figure out how that functions. Let me go in. Let these guys take me down again. I have a pretty good invulnerability window when you go down. There we go. So how does this work? Ah, okay. That's actually not that challenging. Oh, is it 3, 4, 5 eliminations? It's not that big of a deal. Let's try it again.
Tenno, prepare for life support.
It's actually a little tricky to land because it makes you do that kind of dash through versus pick your target and stand still, which I guess is okay. Not
I've
the end of the
delivered
world.
another life support capsule.
Yeah, that does do good damage, guys.
No, they are not stupid.
My brothers, did I not tell of this day? Did I not prophesize this?
Okay, Sevagoth, I see you.
We cannot blame these creatures. They are being led by a false prophet.
So, playing around with his base abilities, they feel good. I'm just wondering, for his survivability, he does have some life steal.
Our operative is making progress. This will help our cause. When you need it, extraction is ready.
Yeah, I mean, he does basically just fine on this level of enemy. But I feel like there is a little bit of squishiness here, even though he does have lifesteal built into his kit. You know, the life meter isn't everything. Shield and armor do play a large part in the survivability. So, obviously, we're gonna take him into a little steel path testing, probably in the next video. I don't know how well, realistically, I think he's going to perform. I have my doubts, but we're gonna find out anyway. But this at least gave me a decent look at what he looks like in practice. I like his kit. I am just not sure how to set him up to survive and then really be able to ramp the damage up like crazy. If I had a really good sense, without doing number crunching here, at what the actual real world damage is in his standard form and shadow form, it would give me a better sense of what I want to do with him. Because, I mean, the numbers here don't look bad, but they also don't look outstanding. So, Gloom with lifesteal, it's only 7%, but that's better than nothing. Then over here, 365 damage per second, that's not that many, you know, and it's per second versus something big up front. Here is really giving them, you know, the damage vulnerability, plus that slow crit from the slow chance from the augment mod there. But the base, I mean, isn't really heavy hitting. It's more utility. You're getting some lifesteal and you're getting some good slow. Though these two in tandem, I feel like they are doing some damage stacking, like reaping and sowing. I don't think it specifically said anything in there about damage multipliers, but it feels like there is some damage stacking. If it's additive or multiplicative, I couldn't tell you. But definitely you cast Sow and then you cast Reap, and it does a lot more damage. That much is clear. Then the Shadow is when you really start to get in some decent damage output. Consume, in particular, does a good bit, plus way bigger lifesteal. Embrace is just a cluster. You know, cluster enemies for throwing Death's Harvest. In particular, the tips mentioned. Of course, Consume if you needed a big damage. So Embrace, then Consume, or Embrace, then Death's Harvest, then Consume. Take your pick. So there's ways, obviously, they throws in. I'm just not sure what his damage numbers he's pumping out actually look like in practice. In the claws, obviously, these are a lot easier to understand. It's just based off of the mod set, which is not bad. They're fine. No complaints there. So I have a lot of different ways to think about this and to go about this, but I think for my purposes, we'll see how he performs in Steel Path for the Steel Path testing that we'll do next. But I suspect I'm going to have to do a fair bit of investment into Formas and some Archon shards to really get the most out of him. But either way, he is a very fun frame. And there's nothing that says I can't use him just for fun, say in Sanctuary Onslaught while I'm doing, you know, weapon upgrading for MR rank. I could use him in MR tests. I could just play him for giggles and whatever. He might be fun to try out in the Netracells. I don't know. Either way, I got him. I like his kit. He feels good to use. But we will just see what it looks like in Steel Path. I don't think it's going to go particularly well. And if it's as miserable as I think it is, I'll probably do something else in the next video as well, or at least going to try. But my initial impression is I like him. He's got a lot of versatility in his kit. Slowing in and of itself is awesome. And getting some lifesteal in the back, both in and out of his shadow form. Shadow form more effective. So that's one thing I'm going to be playing around with. See if it makes more sense to stay in shadow form or out of shadow form. Obviously, he seems to hit harder in shadow form. You know, maybe the way that Reap and Sow work, maybe not as much. I'm not entirely certain. So I'll play around. I'll probably go into the Simulacrum, do a little testing over there as well. Maybe I'll add that into the next video before we go into Steel Path. But yeah, there's definitely potential here. It's just a question of how I need to set it up to get to that point. You know, the fact he goes into the shadow form and can resurrect himself kind of makes survivability not that big of a deal, though I do find it a little trickier when you're trying to bring yourself back, how to actually do it, what it is I'm supposed to be doing in there. I got him back maybe twice in testing when he went down, so I'll have to play around with that intentionally as well. So there's more testing to be done, but I stand by my initial impression. I think he's really fun to use. I like his kit. It is enjoyable, and it also seems to me like there's good potential. It's just going to take some investment. So guys, that is going to do it for today's video. Next video, we're going to jump in, test him out in Steel Path. We'll see how it goes. And we'll probably go into Simulacrum as well, just to get a little more numbers testing before we jump in, just to see the differences between in and out of shadow form, what makes the most sense for jumping into higher difficulty content. So we'll start there, but then we'll test them in Steel Path. Guys, that is going to do it for today. As always, I do sincerely appreciate you checking in, and we will catch you on the next one.